National Instruments suggests that you can turn testing into a competitive advantage. Is that true, and is it worth it? Let's talk about that next. Okay, so let's talk about testing and test systems. So can you turn something like testing, the phase in development after design when you need to verify performance and requirement satisfaction, can you turn that into a competitive advantage? And I think part of that answer lies in, well, what's the complexity of your product today? And luckily we conducted some recent research that gives us some insight into that. So earlier this year, we conducted a research project called Product Development on the Digital Transformation Agenda. And in that survey, in that study, we asked a lot of questions around complexity. And what we found is complexity is skyrocketing in each engineering domain. Here you can see in mechanical hardware, over half said they have more than 1,000 mechanical components. In electronics, 61% have data transfer rates that have increased by more than 10% in the last 2 years. For electrical systems, this is where you send signals and power to different electronic endpoints. 37% have seen their bandwidth demand to support those communications increase by more than 10%. And get this, almost a third of respondents have more than 5 million software lines of code in their products. So what does product complexity mean for test and test systems and whether or not it can be a competitive advantage? Well, we see complexity increasing in each of these domains. And each of these domains will operate in silos, developing their design content up until design release, approaching design release. But at some point, all that stuff has to come together and work as a system or a product. And we at Lifecycle Insights commonly call that the integration choke point, because you have brand new to the world electronics, trying to run brand new to the world software, trying to run brand new to the world actuated components. And trying to get all that work together is incredibly difficult. Now, when does that happen? In prototyping and testing. That's when you have to bring it all together. So, with rising complexity, skyrocketing complexity, what are we seeing with respect to prototyping and testing? A lot of companies are really struggling. So over the past 3 years, we conducted a lot of research, and we took the average rounds of prototyping and testing from those studies. The number is 23. 23 rounds of prototyping and testing. And then we looked at the cost. We took the average there, $44,500. Now we could do the math here and come up with a really big number, but it's more valuable to come up with something where you can see for yourself what's going on in your organization. So across the top here in this table, you can see number of projects, and in rows you can see the cost to build and test a prototype based on your complexity, and you can see how the numbers play out. In the least complex scenario, we're talking spend of north of $500,000. In the most complex scenario, we're talking tens of millions of dollars. So, can testing be turned into a competitive advantage? Well, one thing we know for sure is that if you resolve some of this and reduce the number of prototype and testing rounds, you can certainly save a lot of money, and that can make a big financial impact for your company, make you more profitable. But the thing that we haven't really talked about here is time, right? So if each of those rounds is going to take a certain amount of time. If you can reduce that number, you're going to get to market faster, or you deliver your product to your client or customer faster as well. So there's benefits to be realized there. There's no doubt about it. So from an enabling capability perspective, what's National Instruments offer? So there's a couple different aspects to think about there. One is a set of modular software and hardware that'll let you build test systems really fast, right? So that's one aspect of it. Another aspect of it, though, is developing the code and the analytics capabilities that let you get insight into test data faster. And as a result, going into the next round of testing, what was the issue, how can you resolve it, and how that last round of testing hopefully can be the last one, so you can reduce that number. So there are powerful enabling capabilities that if you implement it, you can realize value for the organization and get things done faster. So that's it. Can testing be a competitive advantage? Well, the opportunity is there. You need the right tools in place, as well as process change and other things to realize it. Yes. That's it. Take care and talk soon.